Hello, in this session I'm going to introduce you to the image visualization window. So on the left here, I'll just collapse this down, on the left here you have what we call the image window. And I shall start at the bottom right here and we can work our way around. So at the bottom right it simply tells you the dimensions of your image. This may change if you choose to crop your image for any reason, for example to get faster frame rates, or if you were to bin your image, for example, just to get a little bit more sensitivity out of the camera. It also, next to this field here, as you pass your cursor across the image, when you're in this particular view we call slice view, when you pass your cursor across the image you'll see both the XY coordinates and also the numbers in the brackets that you see in the bottom right hand side. Those are the intensity levels, so those are the number of grey levels that we have for each of the three channels. So we've got three colours in this particular image. We have a green, a red and a yellow, though the yellow signal isn't showing that through that clearly here at the moment. And so you can see the three intensities being reported there as well. And then if we go to the bottom here, at the moment what we're doing is we're fitting the image to the window. I can zoom in simply by using my middle mouse wheel. I'm using my middle mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and you can see that my zoom level is changing down at the bottom here, but I can just simply go for a fixed zoom and choosing as I see fit here. We can show a scale bar, and that scale bar will change as you zoom in and out, as you can see. And also we can choose which fluorophores that we see at any one time. We can select those on and off according to what we want to view. And then as we move around the screen, on the left hand side we have a number of tools for visualizing both our volumes and our channels in different formats. So at the moment I just have a 3-color snapped image, so this is just a 2D image at the moment. So that's all I'm seeing, and this is the default visualization display at the top. What I'm just going to quickly do is just capture a quick Z stack. So I have 3 channels, and you can see now at the bottom as I go through a Z stack, you can see each of my 3 channels in this case capturing, and each Z slice building up the entire volume. And actually you can go back and review those. Even when it's live you can review your Z series, and if we had a time series then the time bar would populate, and if we had multi-positions then we would have another bar representing each of the fields, and you can review your data accordingly down the bottom here. So now we have a 3D image. We have a number of other display options as well. So I can use MIP, so this is maximum intensity projection. So what this is doing is this is actually showing us the brightest pixels from each individual Z slice and forming them into a single 2D image. We can look at each of the individual channels independently. So we have the green, the yellow and the red channel here, and this is in sort of 2D view, and I can run through the Z sections like this, and I can zoom in like this, and I can review the Z sections accordingly. And I have exactly the same principle, but for MIP. So the Z scale bar, sorry, the Z slider here disappears because I'm seeing a 2D maximum intensity projection again, but just the individual channels. And I can actually choose down here, as I said earlier, to choose to switch channels on and off, for example, when I'm in this combined mode. I forgot to show you that. So it's the same as when you're in a single view. And I can also go to 3D view. So now we're seeing what looks like a MIP, but actually if I use my left mouse button, I can rotate the image so I can see my volume. And I can use my middle mouse wheel, as I can in all of the other display modes. Actually I can use my middle mouse wheel to zoom in, and if I press my right button, I can pan my image around. So left to tilt, right to pan, and middle mouse wheel to zoom in and out. And we have another display mentioned here. It's called a blend mode, and it combines intensities along the viewing direction, so it gives you a sort of a sense of depth with a background. Oh, and if you get lost, for example, and you want to just square it back up again, you have a reset button. I'll shortly show you this next tool here, or I'll show you it now. So what I can do here is I could, for example, create a montage. So I'm just going to do a quick 2x2 montage, and when I display all here, what will happen is I will see, actually I'll show you both before and after. So if I untick this and I go acquire, what will happen is that you'll see me capture three different fluorophores at, we're doing a 2x2, so we basically end up with a tile of 4 images, or a number of 4 images. So 4 data sets from each of the 4 positions in my 2x2 montage. And so consequently I have, this is position 4, this is position 3, this is position 2, this is position 1. And if I go to display all fields, what this now shows you is each of the fields relative to each other. And you can see here the edges of the fields, and there's a little bit of overlap, and we do that, the overlap is meant to be there. If you then went on to stitch the image, we need overlap between each of the neighbouring fields for the stitcher to stitch well and correctly. So this is just a butt stitch at the moment, but that display all shows you all of the fields that you capture, whether it's a montage or multi-position, relative to the distance that you've travelled. So that's the image display tools. And then across the top here I can choose, for example, to export my current image, so it's like a screen grab effectively. I can export it to the clipboard or export it to a file. I have a range of tools up here, so if I go, for example, back, if I take the display all, if I have display all, these tools are grayed out, I can't use them. But if I remove the display all, I have my finger, which allows me to go back to zooming in and out. If I zoom in, I can pan around. Let's just reset that. I have my point tool. You use this for a number of reasons. So you can use this, for example, to define a region that your camera is going to capture over if you wanted to crop your image for faster frame rates, for example. And then I have a number of tools here which, for example, I can choose a point tool. So if I wanted to register a position in an image and move my sample and register a different position, I can start to investigate, I can start to track, different positions, different cells according to my needs. I have rectangular tools, elliptical, etc. So these are all tools that can be used to either register positions that you want to study, remember and study more closely, to highlight positions, or they can also be used in combination with our analysis tools, which will give you things like pixel intensity counts, profiles of intensity across areas, for example, across a line tool. Next along here we have probably one of the more frequently used tools in the image display window, and that's being able to set contrast. So we have 2 set contrast tools. The one on the left here is used when you have a bright field or DPC image, and then the one on the right is used primarily for autofluorescence. They both use slightly different algorithms to give you the best effect. So for example, at the moment we are in autofluorescence. Sorry, we're in fluorescence, I should say. and it's auto mapped. I can override the auto mapping by clicking on the Enhance tool, and now I have access to the lookup tables. So for example, if I feel that the green is too bright, I can hover over this particular channel. I can right mouse click down, and whilst I'm depressing the right mouse button, I can drag to the right, and you can see the maximum intensity threshold changing. If I now keep the mouse button down to the left and I drag to the left, you can see that the green intensity is getting brighter. Similarly for the red channel, I can do the same with the red. The red's actually a little bit bright in some places because some of these cells look like they're apoptosing, so they've got very dense areas, very dense bright areas. And then I can also use the left mouse button to, for example, change my lower threshold as well. This doesn't change the raw data, it's just a display. And then also I have gamma here, so I can play with gamma as well if I so wish to change my intensity. It's just that you can display your sample better, more clearly, if you need to. I can also just manually put numbers in here as well. Okay, but if I want to go back and restore where I was, then I can just click Auto Map and it'll restore to its existing position. If I was, for example, to just do a quick snap in bright field, I don't see very much. These cells are actually very flat, but you can vaguely see where the cells are. Then you can see that on the left-hand side here, I have my contrasting for bright field, and you can see that I have like a wedge-shaped gradient. And I can basically repetitively click this, and what it does is it changes the contrast of my image. So there you see it's just jumped. We start at 99 to 1, and each time we click it, it's changing the contrast. Depending on your image, you'll see more or less effect the more you click this. There's 10 iterations in total, and then you can go back to a starting point. So that's the contrast tools. So if I click this tool here, you can see that I can choose either to go full resolution, or I can crop my camera. I might want to crop my camera field because I want to go faster. So for example, I could choose a 2048 by 1024. So this will give me a letterbox size image. So if I click on that and I now do a snap, what you'll see is now I have a letterbox shaped image rather than a full screen image. And that just helps me speed up my frame rate a little bit because it's capturing, for example, less data. And it might be that you're only interested in something very specifically in the center of your field of view. So you can increase your speed accordingly and get faster frame rates if you so wish. And then the other option is, but let's just go back to full resolution so that I can show this. I'll just do another snap. The other option is binning. So this is a way of increasing the brightness of your sample. So what we can do at the moment, full resolution, you have 6.5 micron pixels at full resolution, but if you go to 2 by 2, then you'll be basically grouping four 2 by 2 pixels to get us, if you like, a super pixel. And the effect of that is that you can just boost your signal relative to your noise. So for example, if I choose, in fact, if we go live, you'll see it happen. So if I go 2 by 2, oh sorry, I need to take auto map off, which is not a bad lesson to show you this. So this is without any binning, and then I click 2 by 2, and you can see, well, hopefully you saw that it got a little bit brighter. And if I go 4 by 4, you'll see it gets a bit brighter again. So effectively this makes your camera a little bit more sensitive because you're grouping pixels together. It also has the effect, because it's a lower resolution image, it will also speed up your frame rate. So again, you'll get faster frame rates by binning. And so if you're not particularly interested in fine detail, for example, you might be doing calcium imaging. Typically in calcium imaging you're not interested in fine detail, but you just want to see waves of intensity changes as calcium way, as calcium is released within a cell in combination with a calcium sensitive dye, then this is a way to speed up your frame rate and therefore get a faster, and also increase your sensitivity. But let's go back to a regular fluorescence image there. And let's take the binning off so you can see okay. And that's everything to show you here.